Hey everyone, I received some feedback that my Facebook posts can be wordy and long and that it might be better to just do videos. So we're gonna try it. I thought I would just give you guys a walk around the yard, give you an update on a lot of the projects that I was working on this spring so you can see where they're at. Maybe you'll learn something new, maybe you'll be inspired, maybe you'll see all the things I did wrong. And that's okay. But we're gonna start on the driveway flower beds in the front yard and then we'll go back to the back and look at the potager garden. Okay guys, so I apologize that the lighting's a little off here and you got a lot of shadows, but bear with me. So the driveway flower bed's about 4 feet wide and runs the full length of the driveway and continues on the other side of the driveway as well. But I try and use these spaces that are most frequented by people and viewed by others for high impact planting, so it's a lot of annuals. There are some perennial structural plants, and I'll call those out as we go along. But generally, I've used Vinca, which loves the sun and the heat. They don't mind being by the concrete. They don't care how hot it is. I have Vinca Lilac, it's the Titan mix, and white. And then I have this darker one, which is called Blueberry Kiss. I supplemented with pink Profusion zinnias, Victoria Blue Salvia, and then Salvia coccinea, and I believe this one was called Pink something or other. I don't remember. I've also added some verbena down in there. If you can see it, you'll see some better ones up front where the lighting's better. This first rose is Jubilee Celebration. It's a David Austin rose. Incredible smell, bright pink blossoms. I just cut it back 2 weeks ago after its first flush of blooms. And it'll be coming out soon. Again, probably in the next few weeks. We see we got a bud starting right there, which is pretty awesome. While we're here, I'll show you my back porch pot. In there you'll have, it's Prince Tut papyrus. So it's a smaller dwarf version of like legitimate papyrus. And then there's Proven Winners, Supertunia Bordeaux, Proven Winners Super Bina Sparkling Amethyst, and then Supertunia Limoncello. And I'm really happy with this. I've got it hooked up to my drip system. So it waters when the flowers water. It just runs up through the bottom of the pot and then has some emitters in the top. And I literally haven't watered it by hand since I've installed that, and it's doing great. I did use some time release fertilizer in all of my pots. They just do better with a little extra food because they have limited soil. So as we go down, it's a lot of the same planting mix. I supplemented with some yellows here and there. We got yellow Profusion zinnias there. Then I have the Chartreuse Main Street Coleus, which is supposed to handle the sun, and I was a little nervous that it wouldn't be able to hack it. And you know, I was struggling a little bit, but doing not too bad, not too shabby. The trees that I have in this space are, they're a crabapple. They're called Royal Raindrops. You get covered in pink blossoms in the spring, have this nice burgundy foliage, kind of a maple leaf shape throughout the summer. And then they go hues of orange and yellow and red in the fall. And this one I put in last year. I had to replace one that succumbed to some fungal issues. But this is the larger one. Oh, that lighting is terrible. We'll get it from the other direction. But that's about what this will look like. Easy to prune up because of its branch structure to avoid the driveway, so it doesn't look wonky because the branches primarily grow in a vase shape. So really nice there. All right, next down the row I have some Forrester grass. I like these for structure and for some vertical elements. Super easy to grow. They'll take a lot of water, but they don't need a lot of water. I just like the yellow wheat look of the tops as well. They're good winter interest too, so I usually don't cut them back until early spring. This is a rose mallow or a hibiscus. Pretty drought tolerant actually, and this will get great big dinner plate size blossoms on it here in the next week or so. Pretty awesome stuff. Just a lot more of the same thing. Then in my shadier areas, I have some yellow snapdragons. I believe these are yellow sonnet. And then I have some lobelia and classic Impatiens Merlot mix. And then these are Wizard Coleus, and I think that one's Red Dragon. I'd have to look it up. I know I should be ashamed of myself for not remembering all these things. Anyway, all right, and continuing on down, in some of the other shady areas, I've got some really cool chartreuse, angel wing begonias. I have some regular fibrous begonias. Sorry about the cars driving past. More of the verbena, some Truffula pink gomphrena, which is a super cool plant. This thing will get giant. Also another of the Salvia coccinea, but this gets shaded from the large crabapple right here, which also shades my house, which is really nice in the summer and really nice to have open and light in the winter. Just some more Impatiens. This rose right here is called Benjamin Britton. It's also a David Austin rose, and that's the most pathetic, sad little flower, but the heat just is brutal on these things. And it's a super intense, bright pink. I love it. This daylily here is called Janus Brown. I got it for free at a community celebration a number of years ago, and I like it. Maybe one day I won't like it and I'll get rid of it, but for now it stays. Here's a little sad salvia, my neighbors honking their horn. I pruned it back because it was done with its first flush of blooms, and you can see it's starting to send out new growth, and it'll get another flush of blooms. Not as big as it had in the spring, but it'll at least give us another show. More of the Carl Forrester grass, some more of the vinca, verbena, and the zinnia. And that's looking down the sidewalk that we just came down. And then in the front of the house, this is another rose. This one is called Lady of Shallot. Smells amazing and has these beautiful pink blossoms that I just love. And it'll get ready, it's pruned back, but it's getting ready to throw another flush of blooms already as well. In front of the porch, we have another rose. This is Golden Celebration, also a David Austin. That one is called Munstead Wood. The heat just tears up these blossoms. All right, sorry about that. My neighbors were hollering at me. This is a peony. It actually came with the home. I believe the elderly gentleman whose family I bought the home from planted it years ago, and I've kept it, and I just can't bear to get rid of it, but it doesn't support its blooms, and yeah, I'm not in love with it, but I'm sentimentally attached to it. So there you go. More of the same stuff. This is a tall phlox that came as a start and from my grandparents, but they got their start from my great-grandmother. And this flower bed up here has struggled since I had the porch redone 2 years ago. I just think the alkalinity from all the concrete work has just been brutal. But this year it's doing way better than it did last year. This here is a hibiscus called Starry Starry Night. It's another rose mallow. It gets pink blossoms that look like pinwheels, and it has that dark, almost black maple leaf shaped foliage, and I'm really, really liking it. It'll go well with the bronze color of the crabapple leaves. And then this is a contorted filbert, and it will be leaving the yard shortly. I knew it was going to get too big for the space, but its leaves are supposed to be red, and it just has never done it. So out it goes next year, and it will likely be replaced with a panicle hydrangea. And there's my yellowing lawn, because I am supporting our cause, and I am cutting back. Honestly, it doesn't look that bad. I am only watering twice a week, following the recommendations. Some areas look better than others, but that's just because sprinklers aren't perfect. And you know what? I'm okay with it. It's just dormant, and it'll come back in the fall. If we skip over to the other side of the driveway, this bed's done the best at filling out, but it also gets the most light and sun, and it's just a lot of the same plantings. This rose is called Jude the Obscure. It's its second year. It's putting on a lot of new growth. Super excited for it. This tree is a Autumn Brilliance serviceberry. Sorry, I'm going to show you right into the daylight there. and it should get quite a bit larger than that. And beautiful white blossoms in the spring, bright red and yellow foliage in the fall. Here's another of that Phlox I told you about that I got from my grandparents. This one's blooming, doing a little bit better than the other one. Hopefully I can keep it alive. All right, so as we come down the driveway and around the house, this is the bed that I planted using all of Proven Winner's flowers, just as a trial to see if they really do perform better. And honestly, I've been pretty happy with what's going on here. They're stooling out well. I have had to treat the Supertunias for budworm. This poor little guy a week ago had 0 flowers on it, and I found the little worm munching away having his dinner. So I've treated with an organic spray, and it's worked beautifully. The Ipomoea Sweetheart Lime is doing really well. Some more of the Verbena Sparkling Amethyst, looking really nice. And the sunflowers are not a Proven Winners, they're actually a Monrovia. It's called Sunbelievable. And I have to show you my cute little quail. My friend's father made those, and it's official. I'm an old gardener because I have metal art in my garden. Not to be rivaled by these beauties, which were gifted to me last week. And so I had to go buy a bunch of plants and build a space for them. I had no intention of planting this area of the yard. It's going to be filled with shrubs and more permanent things. I just can't keep up with the whole backyard and the front if I do it all in flowers and annuals. But some more sunflowers. I got those for a really good deal from Costco. They're called Sunfinity. I really like them. I like them more than the Monrovia ones. And then there's a beautiful canna lily back there called Kaleidoscope that gets these burgundy stripes in the foliage, which is a little bit unique and a little different. A lot of the same stuff in this, the Ipomoea, the Supertunias, those are Vista Bubblegum, that's Supertunia Bordeaux, I believe that's Plum Wine, Superbena, and that was a Storm Shower or something, Superbena. It's the best I could do to match the other side given the limited selection. But so there's that. As far as the sod goes, super thrilled. I apologize, my neighbors just turned their lawnmower on. Super thrilled with how the sod established. It does look really lush and green, shamefully during our drought. However, I have cut back the watering significantly now that it's been established, and so it's wonderful. It's doing incredible. It's only getting water twice a week now, and it's holding its own, so I couldn't be happier. I got some pots for my patio, and I'm really thrilled with them. Like this little combination. I have it's a type of geranium, a citronella. I don't know if it really does keep the mosquitoes away, but they say it does, so I'm gonna give it a try. This pot has those are Calladiums. They're a new variety from Proven Winners that's supposed to be really good for full sun, which is surprising to me, and even heat. So we'll see how they do. They were looking pretty sad at the Home Depot, and so I talked them down on price, because why not? And we'll see how they do. This pot has Pennisetum in it called First Night, similar to the one I put in the garden area. So that should get really big. And then more of the Ipomoea and some of the same of the Supertunias, but a new one in here called Royal Velvet, which is this dark purple. I'm really liking it. All right, now for the potager garden. This is really fun. Eventually there will be gravel paths, and they'll come in on an angle. And there is that the Pennisetum First Night with the Blue Skies Supertunia, and I replaced the Golden Millet because it really just was struggling. And guys, I have no qualms about getting rid of a plant that doesn't work well. And I've replaced it with Color Blaze Coleus from Proven Winners called Lime Thyme, and it's doing really well. And I am in love with that combination. And that grass is supposed to be about 5 to 6 feet tall by the end of the year. Isn't that gonna be incredible? Just love it. Anyway, so that's the center of the garden. And then I have 4 sections, 4 wedges. In the end wedges, opposite each other, I have two tomato plants. These are a variety from Burpee called Gladiator. They get great big paste type tomatoes on them. Super delicious, no seeds, makes really good salsa, and honestly that's all I use tomatoes for. I'm not a fan of fresh tomatoes. I know, shameful, but I'm not. So I like to make salsa though. In the ends I have peppers. I believe those ones are jalapenos. I didn't mark them because I'll know what they are when they start to fruit. I've added some vinca just for some looks and colors. Vegetable gardens start to look a little shabby in the summer, and so I like to, that's why I wanted to do a potager, is because I like to have the color. I have a massive zucchini and then a yellow summer squash, and the original summer squash that I had there had gotten a virus, and so I removed it, disposed of it, and have replaced it. And honestly, this little guy's doing really good, holding its own next to its great big friend. These peppers here, I believe are, maybe these were the jalapenos. No, these are the yellow Hungarian wax, and they're starting to set fruit right down in there, which is pretty awesome. In the opposite wedge, sorry if I'm making you sick, have another Gladiator tomato, and then this one is Early Girl, and it's got some beautiful, beautiful little tomatoes down in there, ripening up, and some more up in there. Super excited. I also have a couple of cantaloupes. This is a variety bred for the upper Midwest, Minnesota area. Really short growing season, and the vines are only supposed to get 4 feet long, so it should fit in this space pretty nicely. So we'll see how it goes. The first time I planted them, they got devoured by earwigs, but I've been able to take care of the earwig issue using an organic pesticide. Spinosyn is the active ingredient. Kind of cool, and it's worked wonderful. It's the only thing I've had that's kept the earwigs at bay. Again, the same planting scheme, mirroring the opposite side for formality and balance. These are chili peppers, green Anaheims. They're starting to set some fruit. And then on the opposite side, we have green bell peppers, and they're starting to stool out a little bit more and get a little bit taller and set fruit themselves as well. On the opposite wedges are where the onions were. No, those onions are not sad. I smashed them over. I folded them over last weekend because most of them had already fallen over on their own, and that's their way of telling you we're done bulbing and we're ready to go dormant. And so here in the next few days I'll pull those out and lay them out in the garage so they can dry out, and I'll cut the tops and the roots off, and they'll be able to store for all winter. My parents don't buy onions during the year because they eat those that I grow, and since they feed me Sunday dinners, I'm happy to oblige. Next to them, I have a row of potatoes in the back. Those are Yukon Golds. They're starting to blossom, which means they're setting potatoes in the ground right now. The vines will start to look a little bit gangly here in the next few weeks, and I'll kind of push them away from the row of vinca in there so they can get some more sunlight and add some interest amidst the chaos that happens when things start to look tired. Have a row of carrots. I've tried something new this year. These are pentas in between the carrots and the beans there. And not in love, not super impressed, but hey, there's a little bit of color there, and the bees love them. And then I have a little row of beans here. These are a French variety. You'd buy them in the store under the just common name haricot vert. Love beans, love green beans, so I'm super excited to pick my first and then roast them. They should be delicious. I mirrored the same bed on the opposite side. These onions are called copra, and they're a long day onion, so they haven't quite ripened yet. You notice I have 2 of them that actually bolted, which isn't too bad. It just means that the bulb won't store as long as the others. But this variety is for long storage, 9 to 10 months. And so you can see some of them have already started to topple over. When more than about 3/4 of them have toppled over, then I'll come over and just smash them all down, let them sit for a week or so, and then they'll be ready to pull out of the ground and dry. And then just a repeat on the opposite side of what we had over on the other half of the garden, only this time the potatoes are red Pontiac. So a red potato. and they're doing pretty good as well. Behind them and on the far side of the yard, I have my row of raspberries. I believe they're heritage. They've struggled this year. I don't think I had the water right on them. I've had some cane borer. I come out here and cut off the bad canes, but I usually get a pretty good stand. Behind it is my Golden Delicious apple tree. It's a very dwarf variety, so I can reach it without using a ladder. Just loaded with apples this year, and I was doing really good on pest control. I was using organic spray, spinosyn, the same thing that I talked about with the earwigs earlier, but I got lax for a couple of weeks, and so boo. Not all of them have worms, but there's enough that it makes me sad inside. So I might just thin them out further. There you go. My elderberry, which is going to be moved next year, it just gets too big and shades out the fruit trees and causes problems. It's my Bradford Pear. It's also a dwarf variety, but look at those pears. They are gorgeous. Got a pretty good stand on there. I apologize for the lighting. Super happy with that. Not a worm in them. Love it. Then further down I have my Jonathan apple. It has struggled with fire blight and powdery mildew, but I think I've got it under control, and we're doing well. Some worms in the apples, but I love the shape of this tree. If I can stand back a little further and show you. I've got some of the limbs tied up. Oh, the sun's got a terrible angle there, but it's this perfect modified central leader. Ugh, love it. Next to it, in the orchard, I have my grapes. This first variety is called Cantaloupes. Set some really good fruit this year. See in there, we got some nice fruit coming along. It's a pink grape that has a Concord flavor, but can be eaten as a table grape, has no seeds. And then this one is Himrod, which is a green grape, a table grape, similar to what you'd get like Thompson seedless, what you'd get at the grocery store as a green grape. And it is loaded. I can get in here and show you. And it's just throughout. Oh, cannot wait. I've had friends that have made juice with these, and they juice both of them together, and you get this real rose colored grape juice that's just incredible. And then I have some leftover lavender plants from years ago when I originally planted the grapes here. And I honestly haven't watered these in probably 9 years. They get zero supplemental water, and they just keep coming back. And I honestly would have to go look on my plan to see what the varieties were, but just can't kill them. And just walking in them right now, they smell so strong. All right, and then we walk back up into the patio, and that's the back. All right, guys, that concludes the tour. Hopefully you found this enlightening, entertaining, and maybe you learned something. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. If I don't know off the top of my head, I'm happy to look it up and do the research for you. Maybe this won't be the last video. Thanks for your time, and have a lovely day.